Većina naših iskustava uvjetovala nas je da vidimo jasnu granicu između svijeta te naših misli naizgled čvrsto zaključenih unutar naše lubanje. No, tijekom 20. stoljeća počela su se pojavljivati istraživanja koja su ukazivala da naše misli i namjere ipak mogu nekako utjecati na fizički svijet. Signal je bio slab, teško uhvatljiv, ali neosporiv. Osim laboratorijskih istraživanja, isprepletanje uma i materije zabilježeno je u mnogim anegdotalnim situacijama, pogotovo tijekom 70. godina 20. stoljeća, kad je na tom području recimo u modi bilo savijanje žlica usmjerenom namjerom. S vremenom je taj fenomen dobio i svoju englesku kraticu, MME, Mind Matter Interaction, odnosno isprepletanje uma i materije. Čini se da misli i usmjerena namjera doista nekako zaobilaze prostorna fizička ograničenja i djeluju trenutno, ali tu je priči tek početak. A on se uvijek nalazi ovdje, na rubu znanosti. Dobra večer. Ricardo Cassiani Ingoni studirao je biologiju i neuroznanosti na sveučilištu u Pizi, doktorirao je na području neurofiziologije na sveučilištu u Rimu, te je 6 godina radio kao istraživač u SAD-u u Nacionalnom institutu zdravlja, najnaprednijoj biomedicinskoj istraživačkoj ustanovi u SAD-u, a u Italiji dobitnik nekoliko nagrada iz područja neuroznanosti. Dobra večer.
Hi.
Danas nećemo se toliko posvetiti sadašnjosti, barem ne u prvom dijelu emisije, nego ćemo se pozabaviti jednim fenomenom koji je tijekom vašeg istraživanja i općenito vašeg raznih suradnji sa znanstvenicima se pojavio kao jedan, eto tako, rekli bismo, zločesti dečko u ukupnoj slici svijeta. A ponekad ga zovu utjecaj uma na materiju, ili na engleskom Mind Matter Interaction. Pa prije nego što uopće počnemo se baviti tom temom, ispričajte nam ponešto kako vam je takva tema i ta područje uopće, kako je došlo u vaš život i kada se to dogodilo, u kojem kontekstu, čime ste se zapravo bavili, da ste kroz, eto, neuroznanosti i neurofiziologiju na kraju se susreli i sa tim fenomenima utjecaja nekakvih usmjerene namjere.
Well, in my career as a scientist, you study a lot of papers and articles, and you always come across the idea that it's decades that people are studying mind-matter interaction, and they do it in the mainstream way, like with all the necessary resources and controls, and the data are always really positive. So although we do not understand how this happened, as a scientist you gotta accept that something is happening in that field. Mm-hmm. And I came across it many times during my studies, and also in a sense reading books, reading other people's articles, but also knowing people who were directly doing research in that field, and they were really serious scientists. Mm-hmm. So.
U kojoj mjeri takve spoznaje i eksperimenti nalaze svoj put do šire publike? Čini se da su nekako ovako uvijek gurnuti u nekakve knjige anegdotalne, kao knjige o čudnovatostima, mada su iza takvih istraživanja desetljeća raznih eksperimenata od Sovjetskog saveza do Amerike, danas i Europe i drugdje. Kakav je, kako bi se reklo, tretman tog malog dijela otkrića na koji svako malo netko naiđe kada se bavi neuroznanošću?
Well, since it somehow connects to what humankind always had as ideas about almost like magic, it doesn't come across really well in the mainstream science. However, the people who are studying it, they are real mainstream scientists, so they are being seen with some skepticism. But whenever you do research in a certain way, the same way you believe in your mainstream research, you gotta accept that there is some phenomena going on which are well researched. And so yes, they do come across in books and documentaries, but first of all in scientific articles, and that's something we need to make sure we are reading about, and it's something that we must take into consideration in our daily life.
Što je to zapravo utjecaj uma na materiju? Svi imaju neku ideju o tome, postoji čak i kratica, poznata je, danas dominira engleski na internetu, pa je kratica MMI,
odnosno imamo i mind-matter interaction za one koje to zanima upravo to područje. Što nju zapravo karakterizira? Što je to u stvari? Kako bi se opisao baš taj specifični fenomen koji je dobio, eto, takav naziv?
So mind-matter interaction, as the term says, it means that in some way mind and matter do have a connection, meaning something that is happening in the head of the experimenter might have an effect on what's being studied, on the experiment itself. It's a bit the observer effect. When you focus your attention and your intention on something, that changes. And the idea is that human mind, human intention, and so thought or emotion do have an effect on the physical, immaterial reality that could be light beam or a particle, an atom, this table. So something that we know is made out of matter in some way can be influenced by something that happens in our head, which is usually not seen as matter.
Proći ćemo sada kroz kratku povijest istraživanja tog fenomena dok ne dođemo do nekih najsuvremenijih, da kažemo, i pomagala, pa čak i jedne igre u kojoj ste vi osobno zapravo napravili, a koja upravo proizlazi iz problema istraživanja utjecaja na materiju. Primjećeno da, recimo, u Aziji se takav fenomen ne uzima jako čudno. To se svako može potvrditi ko razgovara s Indijcima, Kinezima, i azijske borilačke vještine su često puta imale neke elemente toga. Koje elemente i može li se govoriti o utjecaju uma na materiju koji postoji negdje unutar tih borilačkih vještina, pa naravno tamo nije u prvom planu, ali ipak kod velikih majstora se događaju i takve stvari?
Absolutely. So in Eastern philosophies and practices like Qigong and Kung Fu, one can imagine, one has the idea from what we are exposed to. The idea is that you train your body or become strong, but the idea behind all of that is really that in some way, by being in a good shape physically, you have a mental state which is then really focused and quiet and can become almost like a sharp knife in its effects as well. So when you're training or when you are having a fight, in some way your mind and your focus will affect the opponent's strength and your opponent's abilities to fight you. So in some ways, your mind is an integral factor in making sure that you're stronger than your opponent. And so the whole training is really in some way physical, but that physical training is just there so that in the end your mind is in a certain state. And so in some ways you do find that there is an effect that then that focused mind has on the reality that the person experiences.
Upravo su majstori Qigonga i sudjelovali u mnogim eksperimentima kojima se pokušavao nekako uhvatiti taj signal tihi, taj utjecaj na daljinu, pa su tu bili razni eksperimenti i na biljke i na vodu i slično, a naravno Qigong majstori su očito bili dobro pripremljeni za takve eksperimente. Cijela zapravo priča o utjecaju uma na materiju se pojavila negdje 60-ih, 70-ih i dobila je jedan naziv, zvala se parapsihologija. Zapravo se već i prije tako zvala, što je baš ne opisuje točno. No ipak te 60-te i 70-te imali su neke svoje, reći ćemo, zvijezde kada pričamo o telekinezi, psihokinezi. U Sovjetskom savezu to je bila poznata domaćica Nina Kulagina, koju su desetljećima istraživali kako miče sitne predmete, naravno uz veliki utrošak energije, znoja i slično. To je nju vrlo iscrpljivalo. No, imala je ona i svoje pandane na zapadu. Izraelca Urija Gelera, za kojeg su nekad svi znali. Ali ispričat ćemo ponešto o njemu, jer današnje generacije su naravno zaboravile tu zvijezdu 70-ih u savijanju žlica. Naravno i drugi ljudi, Matthew Manning i neki manje poznati ljudi, su također tih dana zapravo savijali žlice. Na nekim konferencijama se to istraživalo, hrpe savijenih žlica. Kako je to bilo vrijeme? Što su 70-te donijele po pitanju tog istraživanja utjecaja na materiju? Što su uopće pokazale ljudima?
Yes, in a sense, when we think of mind-matter interactions, most people come to think about people bending spoons, and so there is like the idea that there are some very gifted individuals that has been experimented and reported and validated that some people seem to have these extraordinary abilities. On the other hand, it's also to understand that all the experiments being done usually take people who are ordinary and they go into studying how you can affect cells, biological systems in a dish, or how you can affect plant life. So in some ways there have been many experiments since the more than 50 years showing that that we have an interaction with the systems, and that they have demonstrated, like human being able to affect how well a cell is growing, or they put maybe monks around cancer cells and they discovered that their healing intention can actually have an effect on the biological system. They have made experiments showing how the human mind can influence how light behaves, how circuits that carry laser beams, that they in some way are influenced by the conscious effort and by the focused attention of the person. And yes, there are gifted individuals, but you can see that even anyone has to some sort an ability, and the interesting thing is that you can train it. And so all these experiments have been there to favor other newer experiments nowadays that always go looking for the same effect, but with always more technology and better results, to the point that it's undisputable that this phenomena happen.
A vratimo se na trenutak u 70. Dakle, upravo do dotičnog savijanja žlica, koje se zbivalo i na televiziji, nekad se mora reći uspješno, nekad i neuspješno, znači nisu ljudi uvijek mogli proizvesti taj efekt. Spominjali su se i tulumi sa savijanjima žlica. Kako su uopće znanstvenici tog vremena pristupali ljudima poput Urija Gelera, Meki Meniga? Kako su ih istraživali? Što su uopće oni vidjeli, ljudi poput Andrije Puharića i drugi?
Well, that they were always frauding the system in some way. So when it comes to psychokinesis, it's always experiments of some individuals and having videos of it and showing that they can actually move things around, whether it's a spoon bending or whether it's just affecting with the mind the needle of a compass, or whether it's somehow mind-matter interaction is also the idea that I can hide an object in several different boxes and the person will know exactly in which box it is. And it's not a guessing, but it's because in some way their mind has a connection to that object. And so they were being repeatedly studied and also ridiculed in some way. However, it was never been demonstrated there was no effect. So in terms of statistical terms, which for science is the law, there has always been some reproducible effect that needs to be considered. And probably that's why it never really died, the research on mind-matter interaction, despite the skepticism that the general scientific community has had on them.
Je li točno da su se u ta vremena događali ti tulumi sa savijanjem žlica i čak se u nekim knjigama može pročitati kako su djeca gledajući na televiziji savijanje žlica često puta sami savijali žlice ne znajući da to nije moguće. To su priče koje do nas stižu kroz knjige i tako. Je li to doista bilo tako prema onim svim stvarima koje se saznali družeći se sa starim kolegama?
Absolutely, and there seems to be, this is usually the things that have brought many scientists that would not believe in this kind of things to actually start researching this matter. As you said, maybe people finding that they had the ability in the moment that they were not, their mind was somehow altered, so it's as if they had the access to a different state of mind, that suddenly they realized that they had something that they didn't think that it was possible for them to do. So in some ways that I've heard it many times with my colleagues, these phenomena being the thing that actually changed their life from just doing very mainstream science to getting interested and involved in a very professional way into these kind of phenomena. And my spoon bending parties, it's in a way a joke term to say that yes, it seems like science finds that some people are exquisitely able to do that, but if you get many people together that are not that special, in some way they can also all together have such an effect. And so, in a sense, a party, because you need many people, you need to be in a state of excitement, like fun, almost making fun of what you're doing, but then actually the spoons are bending. And I've seen that happening. So.
Kao što kaže stara pjesma, kad se mnogo malih složi, tad se snaga stoput množi. Kada su ljudi pokušali na drugačiji način pristupiti psihokinezi, s obzirom da su vidjeli da je teško sad baš očekivati puno ljudi da će pomicati predmet ili savijati žlice, okrenuli su se nečem što se nazvalo mikropsihokineza. Što je to u izvornoj ideji i kasnije kroz oblikovanje uređaja i eksperimenata bila mikropsihokineza i naravno kako su bili konstruirani ti uređaji koji su se zvali REG, Random Event Generator, znači generatori nasumičnih događaja. Kako su i što su pokušali uhvatiti u tim eksperimentima?
Yeah, so the idea is that if we can observe some reproducible effect on things that are objects that are really heavy, probably we can observe and reproduce much bigger effects on things that are really tiny and light, like it can be an atomic, subatomic particle or a light being a photon. So people have started experimenting a lot with the idea that people, by focusing their intention on certain circuits and certain laser beams, they could actually influence the path that the photon would take in a maze, or they would like influence the decay of an atom. So always some process that is considered to be random and defined by chaos, doesn't have like a structure, a pre-made structure in which it would happen, they would put people to focus on actually giving this process a structure, structuring them by focusing their intention to a certain outcome. And so a lot of these REGs experiments and microkinesis always has to do with interacting with something that is at the limit between material and immaterial, like a light wave, to make sure that we are in a better place to actually see a big effect. And the other interesting thing about these experiments is that when you interact with these particles, since one of the problems with science is doing a lot of experiments so that you have enough data that your statistics is strong, reproducible, when you do experiments in this way, you generate so much data that in the end it's almost like it's the most amount of data that science has ultimately on these experiments. We don't have more data and more statistical analysis and more p-values, probability in any other field of science than in that of interacting with random number generators.
To je u stvari dobra strana tog otpora što osnažuje istraživače da pokušaju što jače dokazati efekt za koji nitko ne vjeruje da postoji. Dok neki drugi efekt koji se očekuje da postoji, naravno kao što ste rekli po logici slijedi, zahtijeva vrlo malo dokaza i svi će reći pa da, očekivali smo, oni sad tu. Ti regovi su najčešće bili konstruirani tako da zapravo osoba mora izabirati između recimo kauboja i indijanaca, crnih i bijelih loptica. Znači imali su nekakvo, rekao bih, oživotvorenje da čovjek se može na nešto usredotočiti. Malo je teško usredotočiti se na samu zraku svjetlosti. Ali su sustavi bili tako povezani da su u stvari to reflektirali. U kojoj mjeri su ljudi bili sposobni taj stohastički, znači princip, taj bijeli šum, ajmo ga reći, 50-50%, jedan statistički zbir mnogo slučajnih događaja, mijenjati? U kojem postotku? Dakle, ako je trebalo recimo utjecati na više crvenih ili bijelih loptica, izvan 50% omjera u kojem oni padaju. Da li se dolazilo do 40% prema 60, 55 prema 55 ili koji je opseg tog fenomena bio uhvaćen kroz taj mikro-PK istraživanja?
Yes, so the one thing we need to consider first is that what are we really looking at. So in a sense, many of these experiments have been done with double slit lasers. So what they're actually changing is they're changing the way, the nature, the quality at which two lasers interact, or the way photons, what shape of impact of design they create on a screen, for example. So what you see is actually that what changes are interference patterns. If they focus on it, then the interference pattern is more focused, and if they don't focus, then it's more like a chaotic shape. And it's not probably so much the extent to which they can do it, because ultimately we're looking at difference between 53% versus 37% instead of 50-50 chance. However, they reproduce it so many times that at the end, all those experiments together become p-values of p to the minus 10. So something that is like almost impossible that is very rare in science to see such a strong correlation between their task that is given to them and the effect that is noticed. So the effect may be, let's say, small in terms of what regular people would be thinking of, but it's absolutely sure beyond any doubt, any scientific doubt. And that's, I think, the strong thing, the strong case that you can make with these experiments, that it happens. You have to be sure about it. You have to. It's not that you have to believe it, but it's clear and it's true.
Zanimljivo je kada čovjek gleda istraživanja Dina Redina, o kojem ćemo pričati uskoro i slično, vidi se da su često puta uočavali zanimljive detalje, poput toga recimo da svaka individualna svijest ima svoj neki potpis. Neko bi uvijek pogađao isti postotak u otklonu, netko bi pokušavao postići crno pa bi dobivao bijelo. Znači, opet je prisutna bila i čak i individualnost, ali naravno da se tu radi o ljudima koji su desetljećima to istraživali. Jedan od tih ljudi je i William Tiller, koji je u par navrata kroz neke priloge i snimke bio tu i dio emisije. Znači, jedan stari gospodin, kako bi se nekako reklo, profesor, čovjek koji se bavi godinama upravo ovom temom. Vi ste također sa njim surađivali. Znači, što je to što je on otkrio i u kom smjeru je krenuo istraživati? Kako je pokušao on nadići ta ograničenja, odnos signala i šuma, i kako ste se i gdje vi uključili? Što ste skupa radili? Kakvi su bili rezultati te suradnje?
So the way Tiller is known in the field is because ultimately a lot of what he did was to show how matter was changing, for example, the pH of water. So you could influence a physically measurable property of water by your focus. Then he was showing that you could physically modify the speed of a biological system like an enzyme. So enzymes we all have in our cells. You could actually a different focus and different state of mind of the person, and that's why you said he saw that there are people who are really good, people who are less good, or influenced to a certain extent more or less. They could speed up the speed of a biological system of an enzyme, for example, to the point that he showed that you can take a larvae of multicellular organism like the fruit fly, Drosophila, and you could actually increase by a little bit, by almost a day, the speed at which these little animals would develop to an adult state. So in some way, there was a clear interaction between you and the biological system, and that is obviously a support and big support for anything that is the field of healing yourself or healing other people, the idea that the quality of your intention will change what's happening to you in your physicality.
Ja bih rekao da je William Tiller napravio u stvari još nešto. Mi uvijek povezujemo čovjeka koji nešto radi u trenutku dok radi, neka namjera se tu zbiva. Međutim, odvajanje odašiljatelja namjere i namjere je bio sasvim jedan zanimljiv eksperiment koji u stvari pokazao da neka namjera može živjeti sama za sebe i nešto raditi. To sad zvuči malo čudno, ali kako je to zapravo bilo? O čemu se tu u stvari radi, o kojem principu?
He proved that in some way he created what he called IIDs, that are little electrical devices that are imprinted with intention. So he showed that he could take one of his little circuits, one of his little devices he developed, he could have people around it imprint their intention in this device, and then he would bring the device to a different location, let's say, and and put the device next to the water, the glass of water, and he would see that if the intention was to raise the pH of water, over some hours or some days, the pH of water of that glass would actually really raise. If it was about, and it was very specific, if it was about reducing the pH would really be reducing. So in a sense, he divided in time and space this quality. So he showed that you don't have to be necessarily present in that moment of time and in that place, but you can still find a way that your intention will affect in another place of space and time. And so as if it could be recorded and broadcasted in a different environment. And that was really, really interesting.
Koja je bila narav vaše suradnje? U čemu ste surađivali?
Well, one of my focus had always been, since a teenager, coming in contact with people who had some ability in healing the body. So let's call them energetic healers, or just people who could maybe look at me and find out where I had the pain without touching me or without knowing about me, and then maybe doing something really quick and helping me heal that pain, whereas medicine had not been effective. And so my interest had always been with how much biological systems and the body can be influenced by healing intention. And so part of the research we did, the studies we did together with other experimenters like Leslie Feinberg, were about how human intention, the therapist's intention, can get a bone to start healing again. For example, the bone in the jaw, in the tooth, or somewhere else in the body that has been sick for many years, how the quality of the intention of the person can get that healing process to start again. And so we published a paper showing that almost 80, if I remember right, about 70% of these lesions that for years had been stuck, they wouldn't heal anymore. And we used very sensitive medical devices to show that they were not progressing. After a number of sessions, usually in the order of 5 to 6 months, you could get complete resolution of some problems that dentistry, so surgery, didn't have a good result with healing.
Kako su izgledali ti sessioni?
The sessions look really like me and you being in front of each other, and the practitioner focusing on establishing like a relationship between their mind and your biology, and mentally asking questions in order almost to navigate through your system and understand at which level the healing process has got stuck. So they actually are people who have a very strong background in medicine and biology. And when they find, let's say, when they understand at which level there is a blockage, they focus their intention, for example, on helping that enzyme start working again, or helping that area to change its pH so that the natural healing can start again. Or if they find the bacterium, on reducing the ability of the bacterium to survive against the immune system. So it's very specific then to each client, to each patient, to each site, to each condition. And so the intention has to be focused. It's not just like, oh, you feel sick here, now heal, heal, heal. It's more about understanding why you're not healing, and at the molecular level almost influencing very specifically that process and not another one.
Kada pričamo već o iscjeljivanju kosti i slično, to nas vraća opet u 70. kada je u Europi bilo vrlo popularno ići na Filipine, jer se tamo otkrilo da ljudi po selima, neki lokalni iscijelitelji, obično ljudi koji su to radili za par banana svojim susjedima, mogu na neki način se baviti onim što je dobilo naziv psihokinetička kirurgija. Koji su doseze, što se zbivalo u kontekstu toga što je pomalo i još i radikalnije od ovih opisanih eksperimenata?
Yeah, obviously I haven't had this experience in a sense, but heard many stories of people who have been healed in those instances. And the idea is to be able to perform surgery just via intention. So without any real surgery happen, but the healer connecting to the body of the person to a point, in a way that could almost take out a tumor or take out a piece of the organ of the person that was sick.
Mislite kroz kožu ili kroz operaciju?
There's many ways that could have happened. There's some people who claim that they actually managed to put their fingers through the skin and take it out and leave no trace of anything, as if the body was letting them in. There's other people who claim that they do something and it would then have it in their hand. Let's say it would appear, the piece that was in the body would then appear in their hand. So I'm not so familiar with that subject in the sense that I don't have a clear understanding of how that works, but there's definitely in the thousands of people who have been healed in that way. So there's definitely, however they did it, something really real going on.
Da, zanimljivo je kada se pogleda te mnoge stare zaboravljene knjige iz 70-ih od kojih su neki pisali liječnici koji su tamo često dolazili, kako su to zapravo pomalo i zaboravljene stvari. Neko ih je istraživao, ostalo je zapisano i zapravo se više nikad nije vratilo u... Međutim, to su bili ljudi koji su upravo promatrali te stvari u Brazilu, koje doista zapravo su izgledale kao čista, kako ste rekli, magija. Znate, ono, pomoću ruke napraviti rez i slično. Ali dobro, idemo mi se vratiti opet na zapad kod ovih ljudi koji su pokušali odvojiti signal od šuma u tom suptilnom utjecaju prosječnog čovjeka na materiju. Konkretno, Dean Radin je jedan od najpoznatijih istraživača na tom polju. Bilo bi zanimljivo reći čime se on bavio, a u nekoliko navrata su vam se putevi prekrižili, što je opet zanimljivo za čut što se tad zbivalo, kakva su njegova razmišljanja bila, vaša, čime se u stvari Dean Radin primarno bavio i zbog čega on na neki način, može se reći, najdugovječniji i najtemeljitiji istraživač upravo tog područja.
Yeah, he's someone who's definitely put a lot of effort, first of all, into verifying on a statistical basis whether all the published data and the thousands of studies done over decades are actually as strong as should be by scientific rigor. So he actually made a lot of study on the meta-analysis, and he demonstrated that it was beyond a shadow of the doubt that the results were real. And he had a lot of influence also in studying what would be the ways by the physical, the mechanism by which these things happen. For example, if I can influence your state of being the moment I focus on you. So for example, he was showing that if I focus with good intention on someone away from me, remote, maybe in the other room compared to me, if I'm looking at this target person physiological data, I would actually see that they were relaxing while I was having a good intention, or they were getting stressed while I was getting stressed about them. So he would see a very strong correlation between these focusing on the person's states and their biology becoming aware of it. And so the idea is also, am I emitting some sort of magnetic wave, some energetic particle, something that we don't know about, that we haven't really are able to detect yet, and what's the way by which these things is happening? And some of his data was actually showing that if you put the person that is the target, that is receiving the intention, or the one that is sending it, behind really blocks of iron, metal, or copper, so being completely isolated to those energies that we know are all around us, that broadcast signals, you would still see the effects. And so it definitely, he's tried or given a lot of concrete examples and study to show that we really have yet to find the way, the mechanism, it's not probably an electromagnetic phenomenon, the one that we are looking at. It must be something more profound.
Jedan od prvih i značajnih, zaista vidljivih učinaka utjecaja stanja ideja i svijesti na tvar i na materiju je zapravo poznati učinak placebo. No, kod placeba se može naći biološki put kojim se neuron pretvara u protein i tako dalje. Ipak je zanimljivo da je to jedan vrlo čvrsti dokaz, s obzirom da se i koristi za testiranje lijekova, da doista ako ništa drugo, oblikuje vlastitu materiju svog tijela. Je li te istraživače zapravo placebo jako zanimao ili su oni pokušavali uhvatiti još nešto više?
Are the researchers interested? There is a big deal of interest, and we cannot take out placebo effect out of any effect. So there's always a part of placebo effect. Even if you're studying a pharmaceutical drug, so you're giving the person a physical compound that will affect them in a certain way, we always have to measure how that compound affects the body and verify how much only the thought of being healed affects the body, and we subtract those two things. So there's definitely a whole amount of data since the 90s that has shown that the placebo effect is real and is something we need to increase almost in the way we heal people and we perform. We have to take advantage of it. Another interesting thing about the placebo effect, I'm sure you know, is that it's been increasing by us studying it. The more we look, how much placebo effect is actually in this study? The more we look for placebo effect, the more we find always more effect. As if, again, our focus on it is making it always stronger and realer and increasing its focus. And that, for science, tells us that it's something we should really, really, really keep studying that way and using and making sure that we are aware that a lot of our healing comes from how our belief system and how much power we put into that intention. That could connect you a little bit with the idea of prayer in Eastern philosophies and maybe in religion, but again, just separating it, putting it, again, science and a bit that religion coming together the moment we realize that, it's true. If we want to heal, there is a better, stronger effect of a pharmaceutical drug working on us, for example. So,
istraživanje svijesti se ni najmanje ne zadržava na tom učinku na udaljene biološke sustave i slično, s obzirom da na neki način je ustanovljeno da svijest i vrijeme imaju jedan vrlo specifičan odnos. Mogli bi se reći čak falsifikatorski. O čem se to i na koji način radi? To je podatak koji je s nama već 50 godina još od starih projekata Del Pas i drugih. Međutim, on je tu i nešto govori neobično, makar ne znamo točno što. Kakav je odnos naših reakcija, vremena u kom se to zbiva, trenutaka kad se pale ti centri u mozgu, da ne pričamo o idejama da svijest može preskočiti možda vrijeme i prostor kroz istraživanja remote viewinga, se to vidjelo i slično. No možemo ostati kod ovog mjerljivog učinka gdje se uvijek držimo nekih sitnica, pa recimo ovdje govorimo o sekundama.
Yes, so there is definitely, as I said already, Tiller showed that you can have an influence that is different in time compared to when you apply that specific intention. But a lot of experiments show that somehow you're affected right now by things that are going to happen. So they haven't happened yet, but still in some way in your physiology I can see a trace of it about to happen. And the results are crazy. Just to describe you an experiment is that we take a computer that has to flip a coin and show you a really bad picture of a really nasty, bloody car accident compared to a very nice picture of two people in love or a nice scenario, a nice beach, something really relaxing. And we say the computer will flip the coin in this very short interval, 5 seconds from now. And what you see in people's physiology is that you can record already a few seconds before the computer has even flipped the coin if the computer will flip and find and select a bad image, and so the person starts having like an autonomic response of fear and stress, compared to if the computer will actually be flipping by chance a positive image, and so the person will have a really positive and stay relaxed. And this is another of those things that has been repeated over and over, and is sure it happens. And that's a bit the difference between ordinary life and research, because in ordinary life, people have experiences of these things happening and having a precognition of it days or months in advance sometimes, or even longer. In research, it's hard to reproduce, to design research experiments that would be looking that far. So we have to shrink the time into a few seconds, a few minutes, but we do see that effect. And so there goes the paradox really about how much that is influencing us is the present, or how much when we are influenced, it's already a precognition of what's around to happen in our environment. And that's really mind-boggling.
Što po vašem mišljenju, kada smo sad prešli neke osnovne točke ove teme, što po vašem mišljenju taj mind-matter interaction, utjecaj uma na materiju, zapravo govori o svijetu? O kakvoj bi se vezi radilo, s obzirom da neka veza se tu uspostavlja između nekog ili nekog i nečeg? Što to zapravo govori ili kako nam oslikava nekakvu sliku stvarnosti u kojoj bi takvi fenomeni bili u stvari prihvatljivi, objašnjeni? Kako vi vidite mehanizam kojim se zbivaju ovi učinci? Možda, kako se kaže ono, wild guess.
The wild guess could be that on one side we have to understand one thing, the way our mind functions and our neurophysiology. So in going back to what my mainstream degree is, that everything that really happens to us and that we register as happening has really already happened. So it's as if we are always reacting to something that is already in some way not there anymore. And in some way, so we're also reacting to things that the moment science shows that we're also reacting to things that are about to happen, it kind of tells us that in some way we shouldn't take ourselves that serious, and that a lot about this having free will and being afraid of taking certain decisions and putting all our mental effort into deciding and planning and making sure that things don't go the way we don't want them to go is a lot of just wasted time in our mind. And a lot of the mental focus of a human being should be about just staying happy and present in the moment with a kind of trust that if you need to be afraid about something, you'll be afraid in the right moment when it's about to happen.
Što mislite, koji je kanal kojim se uspostavlja veza između udaljene pljuvačke i njegovog vlasnika? Pasa i vlasnika čiji psi znaju da oni idu kući. Ili tisuće drugih utjecaja, a također možemo pričati i konkretnom utjecaju uma, poput Nine Kulagine koja je demonstrirala usporavanje srca, žabljih i mnogi drugi ljudi. Koji bi to bio kanal, ako uopće je kanal prava riječ? Možda je to tek jedna još pogrešna pretpostavka.
I honestly don't feel like I know how to respond to that answer. It's like one of these mind-boggling things that doesn't necessarily require there to be a mechanism. In a sense, it's happening the moment your consciousness focuses and accepts it to be true and to be possible, that somehow the experience of the person starts making it possible. So there is part of the intention being important, and there's just part of the willingness for it to be experienced that makes it real.
Na neki način ta priča, ideja, koncepti i dokazi o utjecaju uma na materiju nas dovode u jedan interaktivni odnos sa svijetom. Puno interaktivniji nego što u ovom trenutku zamišljamo da je to moja interakcija eventualno u podizanju ove čaše, ali interakcije se zbivaju očigledno na puno drugih razina, svjesnih i nesvjesnih. Kad već pričamo o interakciji, danas su popularne interaktivne igre. Vi ste također napravili jednu igru. kako bih ih nazvao, internetska računalna igra, koja je u stvari proizlazi upravo iz tematike o kojoj danas pričamo. Dakle, kakva je to igra, kako se zove, kako se pristupa, zbog čega je tu, što se u njoj radi?
Yeah, it's an idea in collaboration with my colleague Antonio Rossi in Italy. The idea is that a lot of the experiments, what they have shown over decades, is that people have the ability to influence computers and transistors, and that the experiments, they are really, really good in the beginning when they are excited about doing it, but then their ability fades out over time, in a sense that it's part of the excitement and being interactive with what's happening that is an important factor ingredient to see these effects. So we thought that why don't we do a computer game where first of all what's happening is that you're interacting with a random event like the decay of atoms, like random noise, and nowadays you have several services online that is like giving you random noise in real time. So we created this bicentric game which is a game where you're constantly interacting, and what's happening in the game is ultimately a result of how good you're actually modulating these random phenomena.
Welcome to the demo video of Biocentric Game. In Biocentric Game you play with cellular automata. Fascinating part is that their mood might be influenced by your consciousness.
And so you're playing around, you have a feedback, that's another important factor, meaning you know if you're doing well or not, because when you know you're doing well, you put even more excitement, or if you're doing not well, you put more intention, you focus your intention. And so it's a more modern way to take advantage of these, to bring this more in people's lives in a fun way that is somehow still reinforcing this concept that you can get better at being in the present moment and somehow at creating what you want rather than being a passive observer at what happens around you in the world. So it's a fun way to bring these concepts into the gaming. It's a game you can play in your bed, on your phone. So.
Riccardo, puno hvala na ovim iscrpnim pokušajima prisjećanja čak i prošlosti koju niste doživjeli. Ali u svijetu interakcije uma i materije i to je moguće. I do neke sljedeće prilike, doviđenja.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hvala vama na pažnji. Eto, istraživanje isprepletanja namjere uma i materije, čije se učinke na mnogo mjesta proučavalo u posljednjih pola stoljeća ili više, pokazalo je jednako stvarnost tog fenomena kao i njegovu prividnu neuhvatljivost. Ulagane su i napori da se nadmaši neegzaktnost uočavanih pojava i na neki način odvoji taj signal od tog šuma. S obzirom da je riječ o vezi tvari i ljudskog uma, trebalo je dovidljivosti jer je po svojoj naravi naravno nestalan. Ipak u svjetlu svega što se saznalo može se reći da naš um i namjere nisu nužno ograničeni granicama našeg mozga ili tijela, već da na neki ne još potpuno razjašnjen način međudijelu s takozvanim vanjskim svijetom, te da postoje veze koje nekako čak i nadilaze okvire prostora pa i vremena. Naravno, prihvaćanje takvih zaključaka predstavljalo bi promjenu ipak skoro čitave paradigme današnjeg tumačenja svijeta, a to baš nije toliko jednostavan zahvat. No, događaji onako imaju neku svoju vlastitu logiku razvoja, pa je stoga opravdano za kraj reći laku noć.